Welcome to Pulling Shots. I'm Sam.
Gary.
This is Gary.
And what we're going to try to do today is smile a lot more so we're better received. Got a big smile?
Sure do.
Yeah? Come on.
Today we're just talking about cold brew. Just the history of cold brew, how it started, how it came to be,
Yeah?
all our experiences with it.
Yeah.
So, I guess when I say what has been your experience with cold brew, what do you think?
Oh, gee. Yeah, we started. I can't remember exactly how we launched, when we launched, or why we launched. But I do know once it started gaining traction, I know we got excited about it.
Yeah.
What do you remember? How did we launch that thing? In the beginning.
Launch?
Yeah.
I feel like we launched it pretty early on, so it wasn't like we weren't really trying to push it. We're just testing it out, I think. That's kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah, I think Starbucks came out with iced coffee, and that was kind of the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And cold brew is always in the back of my head as being this misnomer kind of a thing that we're not going to lower ourselves to making cold brew. Why make cold brew when you can make hot brew? That's what I always thought.
Yeah, hot coffee, and then, anyone can just add ice to hot coffee, so there was no risk there, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just an easy add-on. And even now, Starbucks, I don't think Starbucks last couple years, but it's been just a few years since they took off iced coffee.
Yeah, and they might still have it.
They probably still have it. They just don't promote it, but...
Right. Well, it's something, once you've established a market presence, it's hard, and you got a customer base there. They come in every day, they get their iced coffee, and that's what they like.
Yeah.
Gee, it's all coffee subjective. Taste profiles are subjective. So.
Yeah. But yeah, cold brew has been just growing every year for probably, 2 decades maybe at this point.
Yeah, it's probably getting close.
Yeah.
Getting close. What did we do in our stores? Do you remember what we did in our stores? How were we making cold brew when we first started?
I remember I accidentally got it in high school. I accidentally got cold brew and I had to go in and they had to add syrup to it because I didn't like it. Because I didn't know what it was, honestly, the first time I tried cold brew. So I went in and one of the managers put in just some vanilla syrup just so I could...
Do you think cold brew actually launched? Because we were making iced lattes early on. Mm-hmm. And then frappes came out.
Yeah.
But when cold brew came out, it was something different. Do you think, Red Bull had already been out, but what slingshotted all these energy drinks and all,
Yeah, cold brew kind of, maybe it was the first one. Like
that
the
launched
first,
it? Yeah.
Because then I think in a few years people realized it was there to stay, and it was a totally different flavor profile.
It was.
And you could really play with it. Like now you could make a whole coffee shop and just do cold brew.
Yeah, perhaps in the right market. Yeah.
If all you're doing is, at our farmers markets, that's
all we do, right?
Yeah.
Cold brew.
So it's just so versatile and a crowd pleaser. You can have it black, and you can pull a lot of different notes out of it if you make it cold brew versus hot coffee, and then you can just add so many things.
Do you like a light roast coffee as a cold brew or a darker roast coffee? I know we do a darker roast.
I can appreciate a light roast coffee. But I would definitely prefer it's a lot harder to make a light roast cold brew, I feel like.
It is.
I've had more light roast cold brew that I didn't like than I have liked.
Yes,
personally.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like for the people that go to the bars, it would be like you're drinking a stout, and I don't drink anymore, but it's like drinking a stout, and then all of a sudden somebody gives you an IPA, and you're supposed to like it.
Yeah.
It's just like like taking a bite out of a lemon.
Yeah, it is. So even like a really good one, like it could on paper be a really good cold brew, but I don't think most people would like it still.
Yeah.
Because it's just so,
I think a lot of people faked liking it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be. part because that was third wave was roast light and pick out all the and that's nothing. We sell a lot of light roasted coffee, but there's a balance. Sometimes I wonder if there's I don't see a lot of it right now, but there's probably several ways to blend the same coffee, roasting it maybe roasting it light, and then roasting maybe 40% of it a medium roast, and blending that same coffee.
Yeah.
Because you pull a whole different profile out of the coffee if you take it to the next stage of roasting.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I mean, one of the questions I was going to ask is what didn't matter that people overhyped in the early stages of cold brew? But I mean,
I was going to turn that on you because what do you think?
Well, we did cold brew Coffee Fest, 2016 through 2019. They had like a cold brew competition.
Yes.
And it would be probably a bracket of like 30 companies and have different rounds. And we, along with like at least two other that I can think of, lost first round. And we were like the just kind of typical black crowd pleaser cold brew.
Yeah.
And the ones that won were like the fruity ones, like fermented, anaerobic light roasts.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? The director of Coffee Fest, I remember David said, I like your company because you don't roast everything light. But then when I looked at what he voted for, when he voted in the cold, I think there was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And he voted for
all the other guys. Yeah.
A really light, bright, which is great. But I like, I don't know. I still like a medium dark roast.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're gonna get if you're really. I mean, I think there's a variability between what you like, serving what you like, and serving what people will buy. Like if you don't like what you're serving, you should at least like what you do. Like to be proud of what you're serving.
Yes.
But people also have to buy it for you to be in business. So I think it really shifted to, well, I really like this really light fruity one. I'm really proud of how I roasted it, how I tried it 10 different ways, and this is one brought all the fruity notes. So you can try all this, but are people going to actually like it for what it is?
I actually like a light, I like you can take the same light roasted coffee, and I will like it hot, but I'll dislike it in a cold brew.
Yeah.
Are you like that?
Yeah.
I'd rather have all those notes popping with a hot coffee than with a cold coffee.
I would say so myself. Yeah, I like the hot coffee, get super out there, get a funky,
I know.
Just get something crazy. But with a cold brew, I think, personally, I think we both like just just something really bold and consistent.
Yeah. Well, I think it's all, and the thing is, it's where you entered the market. If you entered the market when cold brew was really popping, and you're going to gravitate more towards that. Or if somebody that started drinking beer started off with an IPA, that's what they're probably going to like. But somebody that's drinking a more of a medium dark roast, and that's where they cut their teeth. That's where they really enjoy. They really enjoy just resting with that kind of a coffee, and then you give them a really, a highly acidic, high-profile coffee that has all the accentuated cupping notes, fruitiness, and on down the line. Mm-hmm. When I drink that as a cold brew, every part of my body that can puckers.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but
yeah, I don't know what that means either. So Nitro coffee, that kind of stepped in maybe 10 years ago, 2015. Maybe it made its first appearance.
It was. And I remember early on, we went out to New York when we first started, and we were rolling the barrels, and we didn't realize that little bubbler that you could put in the bottom where you pumped it with nitrogen and it did it itself. So everybody's out there rolling their barrels trying to get the nitrogen into their coffee. It was pretty funny. We were just a bunch of.
Just making whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Or like, I remember.
I had no idea what we're doing. The whole beer industry probably laughed at us. Why don't they just do it the way we do?
Yeah. It was. Yeah. I remember the first time I made the mistakes of hooking a barrel up and not having a spout on it. That was at the coffee fest. So you hook the barrel up and then it just turns into a hose. Because there's nothing. So it just shot. I think it sprayed somebody. I can't remember if it was me or someone else. But if there's no tap handle on the tower, it just turns into a hose because there's nothing stopping the pressure.
I remember we were in New York chasing this nitrogen gas truck around downtown New York until he sold us a, what did he?
Sold us, a little tank, like a 20-pound nitrogen tank. Yeah.
Oh, live and learn. It was fun.
Yeah, it was.
The nitrogen, it's ran. I remember when we first started, we went to, I remember spending a few trips over to Micromatic outside of Chicago. It would have been, I can't think of the town right now, but it's northwest of Chicago. And Rockford.
Yeah.
And we were trying to, I remember they were meeting Intelligentsia Coffee halfway out of Chicago, meeting them halfway. And Intelligentsia was bringing hot coffee and cooling it down and nitrogenating it.
Yeah.
It was just, everybody was trying to get into the market and we couldn't figure out how.
Yeah.
And then everybody eventually started cracking the code.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And then there's been other things like, I think there's flash brewed, which we've never tried. And there's just been other, everyone's been trying different things. And I feel like it's, nitro coffee, I think it's here to stay, but I don't think it's personally, I don't think it's at the level people thought it was going to be.
Yeah. It started off, it started off with a gas, get it?
Yeah.
But it was a quick flash in the pan.
Yeah.
And we don't sell as much. I thought when we were teaching classes, I remember I said it's created its own category, which it did on the launch of Nitro.
Yeah.
But that category began to fizzle. And
yeah, that's kind of
what are your thoughts on why did it fizzle?
Yeah, I mean we've that's the biggest push I think I had because it did not cannibalize cold brew. But then you realize the amount of work Nitro took, and then
the cost.
And the cost, you need to charge more for it. And then you see all these other things cold brew is doing, how versatile cold brew in itself is. Like, you do all this work just for one drink.
Yeah.
When the base of that drink can be used for so much. Why?
Right.
I think, so in a small coffee shop, it's just such a big upfront cost.
And I think a lot of the people were, I remember people, the typical way that we went with, we served it out of, I think, a 10, 12-ounce tulip-glass. I think a tulip-glass, like what you would get in a bar for, something nice. And then, you fill it up out at the tap. And we had our own, remember you designed the custom-made tap handles?
Mm-hmm.
A company out of Seattle, I think, made those for us.
Yeah.
And we were in bars, and they would pour the tap into it, and it would cascade just like a nice stout beer would.
Mm-hmm.
And you have all these little bubbles that are coming down.
Yeah.
And it just created this real soft mouth feel, and people would say, wow, is there cream? Is there a dairy in this cold brew? And all those bubbles hitting, your palate and your tongue, and it just made a delicious, and it still does make a delicious drink. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, it's more of an experience for sure, but that might be why some, like, I don't know if some of the bigger, Starbucks is the only one I can think of that still, there are a few others, I guess.
Do we do it in our store still, Nitro?
Not currently. We stopped about a year ago.
Okay.
It's we tried. We have kegerators in all our stores. Then we just kind of got rid of the gas because it became just too much. So then we flipped to the stainless. If you remember those.
Oh, the chargers?
Yeah, the chargers.
The Nitro chargers?
Yeah.
Nitrogen. Those little, the gas chargers instead of CO2 chargers, they're Nitro chargers.
That was kind of our last, let's try to make something work. We really like Nitro. Our customers like it. and just we couldn't.
And we introduced it to the nation. Remember David with Coffee Fest? He liked
Yeah.
what we were doing in Texas, and he came up to us and he said, "You know, you're a step ahead on Nitro Coffee than most everybody else at Coffee Fest, and I would like you to consider being the convention speaker and traveling with us." And we did that, and we were convention speakers for like the next
3 years, yeah.
3 years. And
Yeah.
they called the class. And you taught that. Malia taught that, and I
Yeah.
taught that,
Cold Brew U.
which was a
Yeah.
good name for it. I
It
thought.
was. Yeah, it was. And I think cold brew in itself. I mean, my next question is: do you think are we at the peak of cold brew? Is it going to keep growing? Does it have another? What's the next wave of cold brew?
That is a good question. You know, cold brew is so popular. I haven't given any thought to that. I don't know what else you could. I think it's not that it. I think we've exhausted a lot of avenues for cold brew. But boy, once you say that, you know, something's going to come out and pop. Something's going to be the next thing.
Yeah,
And with perhaps cold brew.
yeah. I mean, I think people like kind of like Nitro. I mean, canning is always going to grow, but that's not really feasible for the average coffee shop roaster.
Yeah.
They can't just pop up a canning line and
Hey, before we talk about canning, I do need to add one more thing that came to my mind. I think part of what destroyed Nitro is that people were trying to stretch it with ice.
yeah. That was one thing, yeah.
And that just destroys the whole
Yeah.
concept of Nitro cold brew is when you add ice to it. It's like adding, you know, filling a glass half full and then putting a stout in it. Go, here, try this. Didn't
Yeah.
cost as much, but you're still going to like it.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
It's a premium drink, and instead of charging for a premium drink, they just tried to kind of cut it down.
Well, maybe
a little.
people weren't willing to, you know, some markets, people might not be willing to pay that much for
Yeah.
a Nitro, so they just tried to call it Nitro, and that
Yeah.
happened a lot.
Yeah, I think
People didn't understand it.
Yeah, I think so. And I did actually Caribou. I don't know if they still do this, but they only offer it in a 12 ounce, and they started offering it in different. They kind of sold it as their different latte drinks, like with this milk, or you can add this syrup and make different flavor combinations. That was a year ago, so I don't know if they still do it or not. But that's the only place I see locally that people are really still trying to push Nitro.
Yeah.
But yeah, so is cold brew, is it peaked, or what's the next wave look like?
It's going to be in a cold drink. I know that.
Yeah.
Cold is just dominating. And
Yeah, I think the creativity, like people get really creative on the trends. So, I mean, cold brew, it's a lot more feasible than espresso.
what do you mean by that?
I mean, if you were to try to really push a drink, if you're a busy shop trying to really promote something, you'd promote cold brew
Yeah.
versus an espresso. Just if you were very busy trying to kind of
What percentage of our drinks are hot and what percentage are cold?
ours are probably a little bit more hot than the average nationally. It might be closer to 50-50 for us. I don't know exactly. I know cold brew was.
We should pull that number. That'd be interesting.
I did pull. Cold brew was just cold brew was 60% of our, or 6% of our total sales, and I don't think that included the specials. So it might be closer to 10% of our sales.
And we do a lot of cold energy drinks. We have a
Yeah.
line of smoothies that
Yeah.
are second to none because we use all IQF frozen fruit and non-pasteurized juices. And we don't, and everything that we do at our stores is unique because we started everything at our stores before they were available in a box off the shelf.
Yeah.
So we've stuck with that. It's a little, but most people just, you know, they get their smoothie mix out of a box, they get their chai out of a box, they get their, you know, which makes a difference.
Yeah.
Not to put I guess we should put a little plug in every once in a while for us.
I guess.
All right.
But yeah, I think I could see cold brew. I could see that just continuing to be the next wave. I mean, I could see as far as just cold brew only shops.
Really?
Like now that there are drive-through only shops, you would have never thought of that 10 years ago. I don't think.
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago. So some people, like, I think the thought of not having an espresso machine in a coffee shop is kind of crazy. But I could see that going.
Well,
everything's made out of a base of cold brew.
The industry has evolved. And
Yeah.
I remember when we opened our store in Urbandale, we were deciding between putting a drive-through and an outside patio.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Daniel and I flew to Chicago. He was just a little guy. But there was only, I think at that point, there were only 3 Starbucks drive-thrus in the country. And I got that information from a friend who had worked at Starbucks, who had recently worked at Starbucks. And they told me of the 3 locations, and flew into Cicero Airport and in Chicago. And after I seen that and sat there for half a day, we opened up our Urbandale store with a drive-through instead of an outside patio.
Yeah.
But Starbucks didn't,
Yeah,
they weren't into. They weren't into. I mean, I'm talking about drive-throughs like even at the end of strip malls.
Mm-hmm.
Starbucks didn't care when they opened those 10,000 stores between '95 and 2005. They just opened stores because the blanket was, the slate was clean.
Yeah.
They could open up the store in the middle of a.
Yeah.
In the middle of a strip center, didn't matter to them. Matter of fact, that's where their first store was here in Des Moines, West Des Moines, in the middle of a strip center.
Yeah, and yeah.
Now there's no Starbucks in the middle of a strip center. Very few on.
Yeah, most
Most
of them
are freestanding.
Yeah, they're almost all freestanding.
$3 million freestanding stores, which everybody can do.
Yeah, just really optimized for drive-through. Yeah. So I guess in that vein, I think that's where cold brew is. I could see cold brew going that direction where it just becomes even more of a base because there's so much more cold now. It usually takes 6 years pre-COVID, people were saying, half of the drinks are going to be iced.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, it's closer to 80% in most of the bigger chain coffee shops.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it takes that time to really catch up. So I could see the next catch up is, well, what if now that everything's iced, why even have an espresso machine?
Interesting.
Why not just make everything cold brew? But who knows?
We're in a market that gets hot and cold. We got winter and summer.
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about, the strategies you're talking about, might be better conceived like in the South, Southwest, Southeast.
Yeah, but there's energy drinks. Those can never be hot. So
you're right.
If you just had an energy drinks and cold brew, I could see that. I mean, the upfront cost for that is like, what? Nothing. I mean, we can make cold brew with a pitcher and a filter basket, and then just a can of an energy drink and syrup, and you can open a coffee shop.
People want convenience, and they want it fast, and they want something that they're proud of. They want the brand to be solid. I guess that spells 7 Brew's success right now across the Midwest anyway.
Yeah. So I guess going off of kind of what I just said, if you were to, I have $1,000, but if you were just to start cold brew right now, under $1,000 or just as minimally as possible, just to get it going, what would you do?
You're asking me. Well, that'd be simple because cold brew, the entry level to get into cold brew is so cheap.
Yeah.
I would just probably go out to, there's so many companies that sell startup kits.
Yeah.
And I would just get a startup kit. It's almost like what we're doing in our stores now.
I mean, we don't even have starter kits. We have stuff most houses have in their cupboards. We use just a Cambro, and we use we use a Fetco pitcher. 2 of our stores have moved on, but one of them's actually still doing it this way. They just have their pitcher and then a filter, paper filter, and they just make the concentrate, just water and ground cold brew in the fridge overnight. Then they just strain it in the morning.
Oh, that's so cheap.
Then they have their concentrate, and it's just stuff every
easy.
Coffee shop has.
And we make that every day. It's fresh. And the thing, when you do that, you're doing it fresh every day.
Yeah.
And one thing, just came to me. we've journeyed this thing from the birth, the infancy, the graduating up.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when you were waking me up at like 5 in the morning and you had all the covers off your Jeep, and you would drive up to Boone, and I was freezing cold, and you were laughing at me, and we were the Boone Brewery. What was that called?
Yeah. What was it? Just Boone.
Boone Valley
Boone Valley. I think that's what it was.
And we bought a what do they call those tanks? A bright tank and a brew kettle, and we brought all the stuff for them.
Yeah, the whole filter system to get all the
and
grounds out.
I don't know what we paid, maybe $10,000, and we set up a brewing system in their brewery.
Yeah.
And we would brew. We would go up there with fresh ground coffee, and we would brew. How many gallons would we brew at a time?
50 or 60.
Well,
yeah.
And then we graduated up to, because the bright tank could hold 150 gallons.
Yeah. It was a lot.
Yeah. And then we moved that whole thing down to Confluence.
Yeah, it was 150. Now we're doing, down to Confluence, and now we're at 30 for our farmers markets. We'll do 30 at a time. So when you're
30 gallons?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, when you're really stepping up, there is some cost to efficiency. But the starting level is most people probably have just sitting in their house. Or if they have a coffee shop, they have all this stuff already. So you don't really need to start out. You just have everything. Like when we did the Coffee Fest shows, sometimes we just have to go get a couple gallons of water and just kind of filter it just with what we have at the show, because we couldn't bring we didn't have room for a whole stainless setup that we use here.
Yeah.
So I remember just brewing. We had the brew sack just hanging off a knob in our hotel
room. I remember that.
And just dripping into a bucket to strain it, and then that's our cold brew concentrate for the show. So, not ideal.
I remember we bought a big, on one of the first times we had a show out in California, I think it was, and I bought this big chest that goes in the back of a truck.
Yeah.
For hunters to throw all of their.
Oh yeah.
And we put maybe a dozen kegs in there, filled it full of ice, and shipped it out to California and put it in a refrigerated truck once it got there. All that's gone.
Yeah, that was.
And I remember when we were starting, David and I were talking about, because I was calling it cold press cold brew. So we had a discussion. How?
Yeah, what do you
and
call
he said, where do we, in the industry, how do you think we move forward in the industry? Is it going to be cold press, or is it going to be called cold brew?
Yeah.
So, it was, and there was, but that's what they mostly do with fruit is cold press. And there's, if you go back to, there's obvious reasons why it didn't turn out to be cold press. Cold brew is the terminology. But early on, we didn't know what to call it. Because we knew we were kind of setting the inaugural standard on moving forward in the industry across the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Oh.
But I think cold brew, I could see it just continuing to grow.
Yeah.
Just as it is a staple, but I think it'll just continue to find ways to just be more used and more
I would agree.
Versatile, yeah.
I would agree. I drink cold brew every day.
Yeah.
Until we stop making it here, which, hopefully that's not going to be the case this winter.
Yeah.
I love cold brew. My favorite drink? Can I tell you what my favorite drink is?
Yeah.
It is when we used a very nice Kenya coffee, and I'm not sure of the blend, and we roasted it maybe a medium, and we added a little bit more of a medium dark maybe to it, I think, and then we nitrogenated it. Oh no, it was, and then we put Templeton. We put it in a barrel, Templeton rye barrel, and barrel aged it in a Templeton rye barrel, and that was, and then we had the caramely richness from that little darker roast came through. So
Yeah.
you picked up the notes of the coffee, and then you picked up the rye from Templeton rye, and if I used to like whiskey. I used to drink whiskey, and the scary thing is I'd probably like it if I started drinking again. So that's pretty much sure why I'm going to finish my life without having a taste
Yeah.
of alcohol. But
But
that
yeah,
was my
there's
favorite
a-
drink, that rye and that the caramely
So
notes
Kenya and our cold brew blend, green coffee.
yeah.
Then you age that with Templeton and then roast it.
And then it was
Yeah.
barrel aged green coffee in Templeton rye barrels, and roasted it up to as a good solid medium just before oils
Yeah.
came through, and
They make a cold brew.
then made a cold brew.
Man.
That was the most delicious drink, and I would add a little sweetener to it too.
Yeah.
It was like dessert after a great steak dinner.
Yeah.
Eating less
That's the way
steak
to
too.
go.
I've lost 25 pounds.
Nice. Yeah.
You still call me fatso?
No, I won't. I'll
Okay.
stop doing that.
Okay. You too, Kirk?
Anything you want.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
I got to go hunting. I got
Yeah.
my hunting pants on.
Yeah, you do.
So I'm going to go hunting this afternoon.
Yeah.
Call me Elmer Fudd out in the timber.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, you got to go take off then.
Okay.
We'll see ya.
Yep. Adios, amigos. How'd you like that, Kirk?